All right, let's dive in. Today, we're going deep on risk culture.
Ooh, exciting.
It's something that, kind of underpins the success of any system for governance, risk, and compliance.
Right.
For anyone who needs a reminder, GRC, those are the frameworks that they keep organizations running smoothly and ethically.
Yep.
But here's the thing. It's not just rules, right? It's about the vibe,
You got it.
the shared understanding of risk within an organization.
Totally. Totally. It's about, values, beliefs, attitudes.
Okay, so let's break this down for our listeners.
Sure.
Why is this risk culture so important? Why isn't it just enough to have clear policies?
Well, you see, even with the best rule book, the impact comes down to people. It's how people interpret and apply those rules. Like, do they feel okay speaking up about potential problems?
Right, right.
Do they see managing risk as everyone's job or just something for the compliance team?
So it's about going beyond just checking boxes and creating an environment where people are really engaged.
Yeah. Imagine two companies, right? Same industry, similar risks.
Okay.
One, they encourage people to raise concerns, even if it means like delaying a project or challenging a senior leader. The other company, people are afraid to say anything or admit mistakes.
Oh, I see where you're going with this.
Which one do you think is going to avoid those risks better?
That's a great point.
Makes you think, huh?
Yeah, it really highlights how strong risk culture, it's like a safety net.
Yeah. Yeah. Catches problems early.
Exactly. Okay, so let's talk about what makes a healthy risk culture.
All right. 3 key things: transparency, accountability, and open communication.
Okay, but those are just words.
Right. It's about how they actually play out in actions and decisions.
Let's break it down.
Okay.
Starting with transparency. What are some signs of a truly transparent organization, especially when it comes to risk?
Well, they admit when there are problems, right? They don't pretend everything is perfect. They're open about challenges, risks, and what they're doing to mitigate those risks.
So it's being honest, even when it's tough.
Yeah. It's a culture where information flows freely,
Okay.
where people have the data they need to make good decisions.
I like that.
And where leaders admit when they don't know everything.
It's powerful.
For sure. Especially when it comes to managing risk.
All right, so that's transparency.
Yep.
How about accountability? What's that look like with risk culture?
Accountability means everyone has a part to play in managing risk. Taking ownership of your actions, your decisions, and understanding that you're responsible not just for yourself, but for the whole organization.
So it's not about blaming others when things go wrong.
Nope. People don't shy away from responsibility, Mistakes.
Yeah.
They're chances to learn and improve.
I see.
They hold themselves and others accountable to the organization's values and to the risk management principles.
I imagine that can be a big change for some organizations, especially those used to a really top-down approach.
Yeah, you're right. It takes effort to empower everyone and encourage them to speak up, even if it means challenging the way things are usually done.
That leads perfectly into open communication.
Right.
How does that fit into a healthy risk culture?
Open communication, it's like the lifeblood. You create an environment where people feel safe to, voice concerns, ask those tough questions,
Right. Yeah.
challenge assumptions, that sort of thing.
Sounds great in theory, but in practice,
Oh, it can be tough.
what challenges do organizations face?
One of the biggest is overcoming the fear of retaliation.
Oh, yeah.
People need to know they won't be punished for speaking up, even if what they say is not what leadership wants to hear.
So building trust is key.
Exactly. They need to feel confident that their voices matter.
If not,
Silence. And that can be very costly.
I bet. So we've got transparency, accountability, and open communication.
Those are the pillars.
But let's be real, not every organization has got this figured out. What are some common roadblocks to developing a really positive risk culture?
Sometimes it's just not knowing any better. Leaders might not fully get how important risk culture is or how it impacts everything from, employee behavior to the bottom line.
So not always bad intentions, just a lack of awareness.
Exactly. But there are other challenges too.
Like what?
Think about different departments, right? Sales wants to close deals fast,
Sure.
but compliance is all about mitigating risk.
Yeah.
Those goals can clash.
Makes sense.
You need a culture that can find that balance between going after opportunities and managing those risks. And
Absolutely.
leadership, they're a big factor too.
How so?
If they say they care about risk culture, but their actions don't match up,
Yeah, that classic, do as I say, not as I do.
it sends a mixed message and it can be really damaging for trust.
Absolutely.
To build a genuine risk culture, you need leaders who walk the walk.
Couldn't agree more.
Mm,
Okay, so we've talked about what risk culture is and why it matters,
yeah, good stuff.
but how does this connect to GRC? You know, those systems that guide an organization's behavior.
Ah, great question.
We'll dig into that right after this.
Can't wait. It's like, think of it as the foundation. You know, the ground where you plant the seeds of GRC?
I like that.
If the ground's no good, those seeds just won't grow, right?
So you're saying even with the best plans, if the culture doesn't support it?
It's useless. It's like governance sets the rules, the framework,
Mm.
but risk culture, that's what makes people actually follow them, not just because they have to,
Yeah.
because they understand why it matters.
So it's more than just ticking boxes. It's a real commitment.
Exactly. And risk management gives you the tools,
Right.
but a good risk culture, that makes sure those tools are actually used.
Consistently too, right?
You got it. It's like people are always on the lookout.
Instead of waiting for things to go wrong.
Right. And compliance. Well, that's where it really gets real.
Hmm.
Following laws, regulations, all that. But with a strong risk culture, compliance isn't just about avoiding getting in trouble.
I see.
It's about doing the right thing, protecting the company's reputation.
It becomes part of what makes a company trustworthy, sustainable.
Exactly. Let me give you an example.
Great.
I worked with this company. They were kind of stuck in their ways.
How so?
People didn't want to change anything, even if they knew there were risks.
Oh, that sounds risky in itself.
It was. They had a huge data breach, cost them millions.
Ouch.
Big wake-up call.
Yeah, I bet. So what did they do?
They started talking to their leaders, really honestly,
Let's go.
about risk culture and how everyone plays a part.
Mm-hmm.
They did some training, gave people the skills to manage risks,
Nice.
and they started rewarding employees who, were really aware of risks.
They baked it into their culture.
Yeah, they did. And it worked. Less incidents, better communication about risks, people taking ownership.
That's great. Shows how changing culture really makes a difference.
Absolutely. But it's not always easy, is it?
What are some things companies can do to build a stronger risk culture?
Well, first you need the leaders on board.
Okay.
They have to really believe in it and show it.
Walk the walk, not just talk the talk.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Lead by example.
Right.
Ask the tough questions, admit when they're wrong, that kind of thing.
Sets the tone for everyone else.
It does. And you got to make risk awareness part of everyday work.
How do you do that?
So not just a separate department, but part of every decision.
Okay.
Talk about risks in meetings, performance reviews, even team building stuff.
Interesting.
It becomes natural, not forced.
I like that.
And stories. Stories are powerful.
How so?
Share examples, real ones, about how good risk management helped or how ignoring risks caused problems.
Yeah, stories stick with people more than just rules.
Totally. And communication.
Yeah.
You need ways for people to raise concerns, share ideas.
Give them a voice.
Yeah, like anonymous hotlines, online forums, town hall meetings.
Makes them feel part of the solution.
Right. And give them feedback, too. Let them know what's happening because of their input.
Closes the loop.
Exactly. Shows them their contributions matter.
This is all great, but how do you measure something like risk culture? You can't exactly use a ruler.
You're right. It's tricky, but not impossible.
So how do you do it?
Employee surveys are a good way.
Yeah.
Ask people how comfortable they feel speaking up, if they think everyone's responsible for risk.
Get a feel for the vibe.
Yeah. And look at data from incident reports.
What kind of data?
How many are there? Are they increasing? Are people reporting near misses or just big problems?
So you're looking for patterns.
Exactly. Tells you how aware people are.
Interesting.
And you can do focus groups, interviews, get more detailed feedback.
So you get a complete picture.
Yeah. Then you can focus on fixing any weaknesses you find.
It's a continuous process.
It is. Building a strong risk culture, it's a journey, not a finish line.
This whole conversation has got me thinking, about my own approach to risk.
Oh, interesting. How so?
Like, we talk about companies, but we all have our own personal risk culture, don't we?
You're absolutely right. It's that inner voice, guides how we act when things are uncertain.
Some people are super cautious,
Yeah.
always thinking about what could go wrong.
Right. And others, Jump right in, love that thrill of the unknown.
Makes you wonder what shapes those tendencies.
It's fascinating, isn't it? Neither way is wrong, though.
I guess it's about knowing yourself,
Mm-hmm.
making choices that fit.
Exactly. Like someone who's risk averse, they might research everything before buying something, analyze investments super carefully, stick to routines.
Makes sense.
But someone who's a risk taker, they might start a business, travel to crazy places.
Yeah, totally different approaches.
And the important thing is being self-aware.
So you can make decisions you feel good about.
Exactly. And remember, it's not fixed. That risk culture can change.
As we learn and grow, right?
Exactly. Just like companies, knowing your own risk culture, it helps you make smarter decisions in every part of life.
Finances, relationships, health.
All of it.
This has been amazing, really insightful.
Glad you think so.
But before we go, I want to leave our listeners with something to think about.
Oh, I like that. What you got?
We talked about organizations, individuals.
Right.
What about society as a whole? What's the risk culture there?
That's a big question.
How do we as a society respond to big risks like climate change, pandemics?
It's all about those societal norms, values, beliefs.
Right. Are we cautious, prioritizing stability, even if it means things move slowly?
Or are we more innovative, taking risks even if it disrupts things?
And how do those attitudes shape our policies, investments, even our personal choices?
Big questions, no easy answers.
But so important to think about.
They are.
Maybe by understanding our own risk culture, and societies too, we can make better decisions for the future.
Absolutely. Find that sweet spot between taking chances and managing those risks.
I love that. Well, huge thanks to our expert for all these insights.
It's been a pleasure.
And to our listeners, keep those questions coming, stay curious, and we'll see you next time on The Deep Dive.